News the news on Radio 1.
Brought to you by KCB Mobi Loan. Dial *244#, select option 4 to access our Mobi Loan of up to 5 million shillings. KCB Bank. For people, for better.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Brought to you by Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very good evening to you and welcome to this edition of Spectrum. We are coming to you live from the Central Building in the heart of our city, Kampala. But Radio 1 is also live on its website, which is www.radio1fm90.com. While there, click on the icon with the word Listen Live. You can also listen to us via DSTV. Our audio channel there is 897. On StarTimes, our audio channel is 97. Radio 1 is also live on the different radio listening apps. TuneIn, AfroMobile, Your TV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Afrique. This evening, we are looking at matters security. Now, President Yoweri Museveni is set to address the country this very evening on matters security. The focus, of course, will be on the challenge posed by the ADF, who have been organizing attacks from their bases that are under attack in the DRC. Now, peace and security have been key pillars for the NRM government over the many years, but over the last 5 years, many challenges have emerged that have left many wondering who is in charge. Questions remain over unresolved incidents, including attacks by panga-wielding people and gun violence. The government has insisted the security agencies are fully in charge of the situation and that there's an elaborate security system at national and district levels to address any form of crime. Now, in his New Year's message, President Yoweri Museveni emphasized the importance of peace and security towards the development of the country, and he vowed to deal with the ADF, who remain the main threat at the moment. There are people who actually think the focus should not be on ADF alone. There are so many other causes of crime in our country, as we shall hear during this discussion. So I have two people in studio to share their views on this issue as we wait for the address of the president, which will come on your way at 8 p.m. Via these same radio waves. Mr. Cheyune Senyonjo is a resident district commissioner, Nabilatuk district. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Spectrum, Mr. Senyonjo.
Good evening, sir, Mr. Kwago, Kenneth, and my co-visitor here. I'm glad to be here. I last came here when so many years, when it was there is this lady Waraga.
Waraga.
I don't know if she's still around.
She's still alive.
Oh, I think I should look for her and visit her.
All right.
Because I was in her district in Palisa.
Okay.
Yes.
At that time.
So thank you very much for keeping the waves on and even discussing matters of national importance.
Well, thank you very much for having us. And probably the reason you've been far from us is the areas of your deployment. You've been deep in eastern Uganda.
Oh, yes.
I've seen you in Palisa. Previously, you were in Manafa. You went to now you're in Kapele Byong. Now you are in Nabilatuk.
Yes.
Thank you very much for making time to be with us. Yes. And then also in studio, Mr. Michael Aboneka. He's a lawyer and a civil society actor. Good evening, Mr. Aboneka. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Kenneth. Happy New Year to all our listeners. And I'm glad to be back to Radio 1.
All right, I'll begin with you, Mr. Cheyune Senyonjo. Matters of security. President Yoweri Museveni is about to address the country on this particular issue. And I'll begin with you. You are a member of the security setup by virtue of being a resident district commissioner. You chair the district security committee, and in this case in Nabilatuk district. What are your expectations looking at issues of security in our country at the moment?
My expectations
from the address of the president.
Speech. One, first of all, I wish to say I'm glad that the president is always spot on. He does not wait for us to cry out and so on. As a leader, as a head of state, as a commander-in-chief of the armed forces, is executing his mandate promptly and appropriately, and this is the way to go. And me as the chairman, this security committee, I have to copy that one. That's what we call being proactive. And if there is any security threat, you also employ the approach of preemption. Now, my expectations, the most important one, the most prominent one, should be an assurance. An assurance, reassurance, because he has been assuring us, reassurance and information regarding on how far the state has moved or is moving to curb the insecurity within the city, the towns, the rural areas, and against the state generally. Because as you mentioned in your introduction here, you said the biggest state security threat as we speak should be the ADF, which is in and outside the borders of this country. You remember what happened around Christmas time when we had an incursion and an attack on people resulting into the death, the killing of innocent people in Kamwenje and other areas. So this is worrying, and now the population must be getting concerned. And the president, we expect that he will tell us how far the state has moved on hunting, identifying, and capture or killing, elimination of those who are involved. Because I remember the army spokesman assured us that they were looking forward to eliminating them once they got them, because they were subjects of elimination. Now that is one. And then the measures that the state has undertaken or will undertake to secure the state, to secure the people. You remember very well, Kenneth, and the listeners, that there was a spate of violence, gun violence, that became very prominent around 217 with the assassination of personalities like AIGP Kawesi, DPC Chirumira, and others thereafter. The president came up with a number of far-reaching decisions, measures, like the installation of roadside cameras and others, the marking of guns and so on. These have done something to curb the then rising insecurity. Yes, we here and there we get these forms of violence against the people. We have had that spate of panga wielding murderers, especially in areas of Voodoo, the place we call Voodoo Masaka. People know them as Masaka. Some parts of Wakiso, Kampala, and others. Again, the state has acted effectively to the extent that there has been a reduction. Now, the other thing that we need to understand as Ugandans is that I don't know any state on this globe that is totally secure. The threats, the bad people are there. In fact, in the political philosophy we read that man is evil. So because man is evil, then you, the evil, you must watch out on fellow evil man. Now I see you two people here. I should not take you for granted, because anytime you are putting your hand in the bag, in the pocket, I should check what are you pulling out.
We should be the ones concerned about you. Because
yes, you should, as I should. So what I'm trying to say is that as the government, as government officers, do our part, because as you mentioned very well, as a security committee, we have our work. Although for us now in Karamoja, in Nabaratu, our security threats are different. We are there to curb gun violence associated with raiding of animals, livestock raiding. Now, it means that we need as a people to be very, very alert. Security, we normally emphasize security starts with each one of us. Be watchful. What the former Inspector General of Police used to emphasize very much, neighborhood watch. Do you know your neighbor? What are you alert to what he's doing? See somebody is climbing a wall of a neighbor. You take it for granted that could be a porter, but you have never seen that person. When I was in Buvuma as a RDC again, we undertook measures to curb insecurity. Of course, there was also ADF in Buvuma. It was a recruiting area. Some people should know that Buvuma, areas of Busoga, Mayuge, were very, very dangerous. They had cells, what we call cells of recruitment of ADF. Now, we undertook measures as a security committee. Every LC1 executive committee had the duty to register all residents in their areas, and also visitors had to get registered. And then we were trying to mobilize the people to be alert. Who is that person you don't know who has come? Who is that young man who has joined a fellow young man in that small house? What are they going to do? And in that way, it was very useful to us because we got information. Because as we talk about security, there are people responsible. We have got intelligence, crime intelligence, headed by Damolira here. We have got ISO, we have got police. All these must be alert. But now, we to conclude what you asked, we expect that the president is going to assure us.
All right.
And then when he assures us, he's also going to task us.
Okay. Let's hear from Mr. Bonika. Mr. Senyojo is happy that from time to time the president keeps on addressing these issues of security. Even when you go on his Twitter handle, he's always updating us on the operations of the ADF, what has happened, etc. And today, once again, he steps forward to address us on issues of security. Your expectations?
Thank you, Kenneth. And to me, I think before I answer that, to give a context, the sole responsibility of any government is to make sure that citizens create the wealth and that wealth is protected. Now, that again covers as the points of life and the rest, because of course you can't be dead and then we still say you are contributing to GDP. So you must be alive. That is the sole responsibility of any government. Now, there is the external aggression and there is also internal interruptions. And I have seen that much of the president's address is always hinged on external aggression and not mainly on the internal disruptions of peaceful living. ADF is always on the list. But then that, of course, I'll ask some questions later about that. So what I expect, the crime rate has increased. If you read the trend from 1990 to 2024, if you check by they call them the macro trends. They make research for countries. We are on the decline. By 2020 and 2021, we are declining. Now, the crime rate alone.
Declining in terms of being a peaceful country, or declining in terms of number of crime?
What it means is that the crime rate is declining, okay? But it is the trend is that it is not consistent. So this year you'll have crime going up, then the other year you'll have crime increasing. So it is by a small percentage.
Okay.
Now, and this one, they noted that it is in various stages. Towards the elections, there's a lot of violence and crime, and then, after elections, things seem to be a bit going down. But, Kenneth, the person who is going to listen to the president today, who is out there, they want to know the actions that are going to be taken or are being undertaken. For example, if you want to know how safe your country is, you don't have to wait for ADF, God forbid. is that are you able to walk in the night from your workplace without fear of border I don't want to use border people on motorcycles, attacking you, the robberies, and you are not fearing that someone is going to come and take my phone, or the attacks that people have had. Those attacks actually are quite a number. The Panga guys, the Bijambia is back. You keep seeing people with the Odoste and they say we are coming tomorrow, and they actually come. So that's the question to me, is that if someone has said tomorrow we are coming to this place with Jambia, and they actually come and cause mayhem, then there is a lapse in security. You see, the word security, there is the intelligence bit of it. Now, where is the intelligence? And the word is intelligence anyway. So I would like the president to actually, yes, we know ADF and or the pockets of external aggression, but in terms of the country, the picture of last time we had issues concerning the shootings and the rest, the president ordered for cameras. Now, between that time and now, have we seen crime going down?
We had also fingerprinting of the guns.
Yes, fingerprinting of the guns.
And now we are now introducing the automated vehicle number plates.
Yes, the automated vehicle number plates and all its issues it has. Now, before you go into strategies, we need to understand what is the cause of all these things, the drivers. Otherwise, we will be just, treating a wound and we don't know the cause of it.
What is causing all this from your perspective? Maybe that would help us to understand where we should go to holistically address this challenge.
So to me, there are three things. One is, of course, this is not to condone any sort of crime, but we're trying to analyze. There is the social aspect of it. Now, a guy who believes that someone grabbed their land and they have no livelihood, okay, they will retaliate. We have had a lot of land conflicts and the rest, which needs to be sorted.
We had an incident where the other man called Sobi was killed the other time.
Yes, and which is unfortunate. But you see, we have a lot of land grabbing issues and land conflicts. They are ugly because you see, when someone is fighting for their land, whether they are right or not, is that this is my livelihood. This is where they even say, for me, I want to be buried here.
Okay.
So there are land conflicts, which spark conflicts and crime, and then you have the pull factors or push factors that things like poverty. So people are poor, so they will go and break, they will go and break shops and what have you. So we need to address issues of poverty, and then you have this impunity. You see, once you have this level of impunity exercised by different categories of people, people will store the anger and they will wait for the opportunity of revenge. It's natural. So the high level of impunity you see exhibited by different groups of individuals. You've seen videos where people are asking soldiers, who sent you to guard this land? This is not a government installation. It is private property. Why are you uprooting? You've seen those videos. So that anger, it tantamounts to crime at the end of the day, but there is a root cause to that. The other one, which is the implementation, which I call now the hardware sort of things. How much is the police budget to the Directorate of Investigations? How much does Afande Tom Magambo get? And I think there was a number that for you to complete one case, to investigate one case, there's a budget to reach, but do they get it?
Okay.
Number 3, the willingness of the state machinery to collaborate and work together. You've had syndicates. This agent says something A, the other one says B, the other one says D, totally different, but on the same issue. And that also causes difference. So you have rifts, you have parallel militia within, and sometimes there's a time when they say, those ones, we don't know them. How can someone putting on Visapatu come in a broad daylight, arrest someone, and police you're looking on, and then you say, we don't know them?
Okay.
Have those people ever brought to light? So we need to, look at, to me, more of the internal aggression.
All right. Mr. Cheyune, Mr. Aboneka seems to suggest that we are paying more attention to the resultant issues. We are looking at the crime instead of looking at the causes, and he has listed a number of them: land conflicts, poverty, impunity, poor facilitation to the police. Even there's lack of coordination within the security system. Your take?
I want to thank Mr. Aboneka for some of the matters that he has raised. You cannot dismiss them. In terms of categorization now, this is what we call state security, which I was mentioning. That looks beyond the borders and the threats to that tend to target the security agencies, like police, like the army, like government officers. But then there is what we call human security. Actually, what he's discussing is termed as human security. What is it that can make a human being settled and not restless in such a way that you look for any means of survival, and one of which might be a resort to violence? That is why you look at again, if you want to categorize, you've got urban-based violence, urban-based insecurity, and then rural-based insecurity. Or in insecurity, when you are defining security, you also ask the question: whose security? Whose security? Is it the security of the VIP or the security of the common man? So all these now, what he has been dwelling on most is the security of the common man, and I want to thank him for that, because my philosophy is for the common man. Now, that's where I find out that the threats include theft, robbery, rape, terrorism, the terrorism now in the urban areas, then even the drug addiction, which results into these antisocial conduct by people. In the villages, you find these things like these fights. Then you find the men are just, there is arson. For us who have worked in deep, remote areas, there is vengeance, violence, insecurity. When I was in Kapelebyong, the Aleptong was our neighbor. I found very new things, strange things. That when a crime has occurred in a place, they have killed somebody, this other community must avenge by killing the same number of people that died in their place. When you say, please, let's go to police, they say, no, we must first pay back. And they even demand for money. Say, you pay to compensate for this one. So all these now compound up and make us, the state actors, to pay attention, not to external aggression alone, but to all these, because they mean a lot in terms of the management of security. It is not true that the state is paying attention to one aspect, to all these. Now, the social ills, unemployment, poverty, illiteracy, and so on, you've seen government over time has been introducing measure after measure. You have heard about Youth Livelihood Program. The most prominent now is the approach, this PDM, Emyoga. Now, all these are intended to resettle those who could have suffered the dislocation. Yes, it is unfortunate that there is eviction from land, but the government has not slept. The president himself has issued several directives. Now, we, the actors, at times are miscoordinated, or we miscoordinate. We have our interests.
Or we are involved.
We get involved. I agree with you. We get involved at a time, but this is not a government policy. It is a weakness of individuals involved. I've worked in districts where I've disagreed with the DPC. You tell the DPC, go and do this, he tells lies. That's why for me, normally, some of those operations, I get involved. We go together. Otherwise, they will tell you, I found we went there and we didn't see this man you are talking about. But they helped to hide the fellow. Why? They have been compromised. So these are weaknesses which cannot entirely be blamed on government. But government may be blamed if they get to know those individuals and don't punish them. I have told you the president issued directives, and actually they are helping to curb now this eviction. The lawyers here, I've remembered you introduced him as a lawyer.
He's a lawyer.
These are responsible. These ones here and the judiciary, very, very responsible. Responsible for this. Lawyers defend grabbers of land by using technicalities and so on. If you also repent, you also join us, the good class of people in the government. You join us to fight these ills, and then the insecurity will be curbed.
All right, Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. We need to go for a break now, but keep your comments coming. Use the WhatsApp line 0703 090 090. Tell us what you think. Our discussion today is about security ahead of an address going to be conducted by President Yoweri Museveni at 8 p.m., which will come your way on this very channel, Radio 1 FM 90. But stay tuned. We'll be returning to look deeper at the other aspects with my guests, Mr. Cheyune Senyonjo, Resident District Commissioner, Nabila Tuk District, and Mr. Michael Awoneka, a lawyer and a civil society actor.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. This is Spectrum coming to you live on Radio 1 FM 90, live on its website, www.radio1fm90.com. You click on the icon with the word Listen Live. We are live on the different radio listening apps. We are also live on DSTV on audio channel 897. On Star Times, we are on audio channel 97. My name is Kenneth Lukwagandason, your host, and my guest, Mr. Michael Awoneka, lawyer and civil society actor. Mr. Cheyune Senyonjo, Resident District Commissioner, Nabila Tuk District, where he's also the chairperson of that of the security committee in that particular district. Our discussion is on security ahead of the address by President Yoweri Museveni, which is coming your way at 8 p.m. On different radio stations and TV stations, meaning that Radio 1 will be among those to air it live. So keep tuned to be able to hear from the president, who will be speaking about the state of security in the country. Mr. Awoneka, you had a response from Mr. Cheyune. He does not dismiss some of the things that you talked about. What would be the best way forward, looking at the issues you put forward and also the explanation that has been coming in from the government about how they're handling issues of security? Do you think there is actually goodwill from within the government to deal with these issues? Tell us.
So I think to be honest, Ken, I want to think that any government or anyone in power would love to see their citizens alive and be able to live life and be able to vote for them again. So, and to me that should be one of the primary preoccupation. But when you wake up every day and you're not sure of the day, then it becomes a problem. When you hear of Bijambia, you hear of Vivalua, everything. I don't know why it is Vivalua, Bijambia. People throwing leaflets and saying, we are coming tomorrow, and then they come. The corridor of the Renzori, the attacks on the school, they are recently in Kamwenge, So how do you want to explain to those people that actually we are safe? When one of the functions of the UPDF is to ensure that they protect the sovereignty of Uganda and the territorial boundaries. We give huge chunks of money to the army, moreover classified, and they're always coming for supplementary budgets. Now, how are you going to explain to the taxpayer who is losing loved ones to say that, by the way, we are doing something about it? And we also need to ask a question, maybe say, who is this ADF? I've never read a statement by ADF saying we are the ones who were attacked. Rebels would like always, in most cases, to say, yes, we are the ones. Maybe we are the ones that give them the media, the free media. Can we understand what is this ADF? I have never seen, like you see Al-Qaeda and the rest, they quickly own up and make a press statement or do a video statement and say, were the ones
They claim responsibility.
I've never read any statement
Mm.
from ADF claiming responsibility. So what is ADF? Why is it that for this period, our people are dying, and yes, we say, yeah, we are going for them. Can we do more of the preventive? Can't we have deployment? There is the whole apparatus of intelligence. So it is always of they have bombed us in Kampala, so we are going to pick them. Parliament approved money to go to DRC.
Mm.
But after that, the children were slaughtered in Kasese. People have been slaughtered in Kamwenge. The tourists were killed, and the Ugandan. So how do you then tell a Ugandan that we actually need more money to go and protect you? I think we need to be candid. And even at some point, sorry.
Mm. Mr. Chewine, on this issue of the ADF, when you tell Ugandans that the ADF are the ones attacking people in Kampala and in all these places, some of them say, how is that possible? We went to Congo to deal with them. Do you think there was laxity in strategy? Did we focus so much on bombing them in the DRC and forgetting to do deterrent measures back home?
We need to understand one thing. The concept, existence, survival, and operations of any rebel outfit. Rebels, unlike those fighters who have defined the front lines, are very, very elusive and evasive. And those of us who saw the operations of the NRA, even when you read how they managed to fight, you understand. Because they will not come out to say, we are here, this is the front line, and so on. We have been lucky that the state of Uganda, since 1990, you remember that this matter of ADF started in 1997. When they attacked Kasese, burnt vehicles and killed people, spread to the killing of children, students, Kichwamba, and so on. Now, the government is doing both the preventive and its reactive approaches. Because Operation Shuja in Congo is on two fronts. It is meant to annihilate the rebels by hitting their positions and hiding places, and also make sure that they are kept at bay. Because once they are kept away from the Ugandan borders or the inside Uganda, then Ugandans are safer. But that does not stop them sneaking back, because they have been in that area for long enough to know how to hide, how to camouflage, and how to sneak back. And even the sneaking back is just a fight of a dying horse, the way things stand, because they have been weakened, and they are trying to repronounce themselves that we are still around, but they are getting weakened. Now, the common man should rest assured by the state or measures, because the deployment that he's talking about is taking place. I'll use the example of Karamoja. When I went there in 2022, Karamoja was very worrying. The raiding, the killings, and so on. Now, by the deployments of the military and the operations of all the actors, today the statistics indicate the situation is improving. But it does not just end the way rain stops. You know, rain comes and then all of a sudden you might see it has stopped. Like one time the president said, I am not God who will order this, let this stop, and stops instantly. No. It means the government must continuously remain awake, but us also. What are the common people in Kasese doing? Are they cooperating with the government? Because that's also one of the preventive measures. How much cooperation? Because I suppose they know a lot. They have lived since 1997. They have lived with these people. They have known the nature of the attack. What happened. Now, the other thing I was going to forget, the ADF operates through bombings. They bombed the town here, the city here, a few years ago. And I'm not sure what Mr. Aboneka is saying, is questioning, that they have never made a statement.
No, I've never seen one.
You have not seen one. But the security agencies will always quote for us, because once they have bombed, they own. They say it is us responsible. It is us responsible. I also have not seen it. I don't have a copy, because you might ask me. I don't have a copy. Maybe the RCC of Kampala could have a copy, since it happened.
I've also not heard them claiming responsibility. I've never heard.
But they are quoted.
But we hear
by
that
the state.
There's ADF there.
Yes.
They are quoted by the state. The security agencies tell us this is the work of the ADF.
Yes.
That's what we've actually had. So we have comments coming in from the listeners, and I'll begin with a comment from Marido Okello, who is listening in from Kisumu in Kenya. He says, good evening, Kenneth. The government and its security apparatus lost the public will and support long time ago, and perhaps the reason why the public is not cooperating to share information regarding security threats. We have always witnessed kidnaps and murdering of citizens in broad daylight by security agents donning official uniforms. That is streaming live from Kisumu, Kenya, and it's Marido Okello there with that comment. We have another comment coming in from Aggrem Singuzi from Rubanda West Constituency. We can crack down insecurity if the government can monopolize all security agencies. By doing so, all guns are accounted for, and also let's engage the current UPDF traffic and CMI on matters of security, and they take action. That is Aggrem Singuzi there, who probably thinks there are so many guns within the public domain. Ariko says our security is very bad because we tend to behave like headless chicken. How do we continue having people driving in tinted cars with concealed number plates, and police is doing nothing because they fear the stickers? By the way, most of the guys in these cars are naked criminals, even without anyone telling you, because of how they look. God help Uganda. That's a comment from Ariko there. And then we have another comment here. I want to ask one question to the gentlemen who are in studio. Actually from Upper Inamuru district has been under attack, burned and killed for the last 6 months now. Actually from Wagago district have been under attack, killed, and their cows taken for the past 8 months now. And the president never come out to make statement about this or took interest in this. And now a few isolated attack in Western region has prompted him to come out to address the nation. Can we say Northern Uganda's people do not deserve peace and security in their region, or we are not part of this country? That is Prince Haika with that particular comment. It seems to suggest that security concerns in the north are not being responded to. We will hear from you, Mr. Cheyune. Then we have another comment. Kenneth asked that lawyer, did he hear or read that LRA claimed any responsibility for any atrocities? Mr. Aboneka, did you hear from the LRA when they were conducting attacks in this country? Kenneth says this country, Uganda, is precisely a failed state. Everybody from the president and his family to the lowest civil servant are just serving their own interests from public coffers. Leadership civic service in Uganda is for self-enrichment, but not for public service. True Ugandans need to wake up from their slumber. Mr. RDC Jamil Mukulu was arrested many years ago, and government has failed to prosecute him. What went wrong with all the evidence we used to pile on him? That's Patrick listening in from Ntinda. Then another comment from Peter, who is listening in from Mobendo, says, I'm never contented with the security of Uganda. It's true security starts with ourselves, but there are situations where we need police intervention, but to Uganda's police, it's business to them. When you report any case without money, they will act in a bureaucratic manner until you either withdraw the case or pay them. That's Peter in Mobende. And then somebody else writes in, that is Subuga Shafiq, says dialogue between ADF and government is the way to go. In any society, never underestimate the power of your enemy like the way Museveni does it. Those are some of the comments that are coming in. And very quickly, I'll begin with you, Mr. Cheyune, to give us your response.
I want to agree with this. Some of these people, like the caller from, the listener from Rwanda. who is talking about guns that need to be accounted for. Actually, it is very, very important, but as you pointed out rightly, Mr. Lukwago, government undertook a measure to fingerprint all guns. I remember I was in Manafa and the DPC one time said, you want to see us here, we have gone to have this to participate in this exercise. Now the question is, which are these guns that are killing people, are used to kill people, and are they not part of what was marked? If not, who are these people who carry these guns? Then the other thing that we need to define very, very well is that who must have a firearm. As a security committee, I am responsible for recommending. We recommend, but now security committee, I have been very stringent. I normally conform my committees and say, ask this Aboneka, what character is he? Ask, why does he want a gun? Maybe he has got people he want to settle scores with. So there is one when I was in we said, no, it can't happen. The man was erratic even in conduct. He said, this cannot qualify for a gun. I don't know if he got it after, but I was well advised by a very good man called Musana. Major Musana was one of the security members. And other people whom I tasked, go and investigate. So this question, we need to settle it in this country. Who must be armed and who must arrest? Who must, these things they talk about kidnap. It is very embarrassing. It can't happen. I have hesitated. I think this is my first time to use it publicly. For being to use it, because I don't believe that there is a kidnap going on. But if that is happening, that must be resolved, because.
So you think the reason why people say they are being kidnapped is because they are being arrested in a...
Me, I thought that these are arrested in normal circumstances, because the state cannot kidnap its people. Yes, the state arrests, and they arrest you for a reason, and then you go through the process.
But there's a manner in which people should be arrested, as stipulated by the laws.
That is also true. I agree with you.
Is that happening?
I think so. When we do ours in Karamoja in Nabila.
How do you do it?
It depends now. If we are pursuing raiders, there is a way they are handled. We don't go kneeling on our knees that please surrender the what? We tell them either leave the cows or we shoot you. Because that's what, because they are also armed. We cannot go kneeling and say, please, surrender the gun. No, just we are pursuing, you surrender. Or else, you are surrendered. Yes. Now,
what is it called that? Is that what is called reasonable force? What is it called?
Appropriate.
Appropriate
force? It is appropriate.
Reasonable in
yes. Okay. Yes. Now, the actually thing, it is not true. If there is any part of this country that the president and government are paying attention to, it is the North. The North suffered a lot. You know very well, Kenneth Lukwago, on a personal note, me and you, how I'm attached to the North. Really, the North suffered, and the president, government have undertook measures to make sure that these people undergo rehabilitation. Their park question is under investigation. Government has been going there. Even this, the Balaro issue, because it's also part of what he said, that they are taking their cows. As I understand, there is an Operation Harmony, which is taking place to make sure that the Balaro, who must not stay there, are leaving that place and leaving the land.
So where are they going?
Where did they come from? They should know where they came from. Now, Jamiru Mukuru, and not being prosecuted. But where is he? Is he at large?
No, he's under detention.
Yes.
Waiting for his trial.
Yes.
But he has a right to a free and speedy trial.
So
just like you.
Yes, when he went the bush for speedy trial.
It is alleged now that he is an ADF person.
Okay, now those matters are now beyond me.
They are in court.
Yes, they are in court. I don't know. Actually, it is you, the lawyers, we should ask. Because what the state agencies did, they arrested the man and took him.
All right.
to the place where he's kept safe. For me, I would be concerned about his safety. He must be safe. He should be safe,
Right?
health, in sound health condition, and then
He should
he
be
goes
tried.
through what you are saying, like the normal ways or the normal channels.
How about peace talks with the ADF? One listener brought it out as the ultimate solution.
I don't know what the political agenda, because this must be a political fight, contest.
But we have not reached out to them to ask them what is your agenda.
No, it is
Have we?
either way.
Because you said since 1997?
Yes, 97.
Quite some time.
Yes, because we keep hearing this and that, and they don't yet add up. Now, since if it is alleged Jamilu Mukulu was their head, who is the head now, and who is the spokesman? Because with the NRA, we had the people like Wanyama and the others who are very active spokesmen.
You can still talk to Jamil Mukulu and allow him to reach out to his people and probably even ask them to abandon rebellion if you're serious about it.
Maybe that's why, by the way, that could be the reason why the judicial process has not kicked off. Maybe they are engaging the political approach.
All right. Mr. Boneka, very quickly as we're coming to the
me
end of
quickly, I think when NRA were rebels, I was not yet born. But
But you have read.
I am here. And so I think the point I was making is that I know every rebel group or outfit or whatever it calls itself, they have their own style. But for LRA, there were different things. I mean, they did grave stuff. But you had someone go negotiate with them, Honorable Mao here and the rest of the people. Was it Honorable Betty Bigombe? At least there was information. But the only information on ADF is the one given to you by police. So you don't have an alternative. That's all.
Apart from Jamil Mukulu, it's very difficult to know.
It's very difficult to know.
Who else is there?
Actually, maybe we should ask the Makerere, peace and studies guys to do a research on this.
On ADF.
On ADF and tell us what they get. Yeah. The other thing is, does the state know where its guns are? I don't think anyone in this country can be able to import a gun or an ammunition. It is a monopoly of the state. So the state knows what it brought in Uganda. So it should be able to account for every gun used.
It's possible that other guns are coming from war-ravaged areas, Turkana, all these places, and they find their way here.
Yeah, it's what we call illicit.
I was told in Karamoja a gun goes for how much? We had
it depends on the season. It depends on the season. Because if it is a good season for the raiders, then it can go as low as 100,000 shillings.
100,000.
Yes. Mr. Chiune, that's the question. That where do the raiders get the guns from? Because there was the disarmament process for Karamoja. It has been on for a long time. But how come they still have these guns?
Quickly, Turkana,
Tokosa
in South Sudan are suppliers.
So those are the things. If we know where the supply is coming from, can we cut off? Because one of the responsibilities of UPDF is to ensure that the boundaries of Uganda are kept safe, including ensuring that there is no illicit flow of guns and
trafficking.
Because now I was even thinking, if we didn't have guns, say we are maybe 2000 or 1900 and we are no guns, were people maybe are they going to be killed by arrows and spears? Because maybe a gun is but there's also a weapon we've not paid attention to, the one of acid.
All right. We have a comment coming in from Nteza, who is listening in from Bonga, who says, I presume the actual ADF is just an image, but the true ADF are within the government.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Let me finish the point about the acid. There is the weapon called acid. We have no regulatory framework for these so-called acid attacks. It is as quick as the gun. So much as we are paying attention to forms of violence and methods of use and tools of coercion like guns, there's this whole thing of acid. It is unregulated. People sell them in bottles everywhere. You go to Container Village. It is a bad thing. So we need to regulate that. All right. Then the last two things for me. There's this notion of URA shooting in West Nile and killing people. Is it URA killing? Is it the URA police, URA army? We need to go. The president needs to address this. Is it worthy to lose a life because someone is smuggling 5 million shillings. We need to investigate this. What is happening in West Nile? Isn't there smuggling in other parts of Uganda? So that question needs to be addressed, Mr. Cheyune.
All right.
That we need to have some bit of sanity in terms of implementation of these things. And lastly, the greatest of all this is rule of law and governance. If we adhere to rule of law, to governance, then some of these questions, we will be able to solve them.
All right. I'm afraid time is not our best allies. With that, we come to the end of Spectrum today. Let me thank you very much, my dear guests. Mr. Keyune Ssenyonjo, Resident District Commissioner, Abilatuku District. It's a pleasure to host you today.
I'm glad that you remembered me.
Oh.
I'm still alive.
And Mr. Michael Aboneka, lawyer and civil society actor, thank you very much for being part of this show today.
Thank you for the invitation.
And to you listeners, the reasons why we sit here in this studio, thank you very much for
Let me
always tuning
complain
in.
quickly. I used to pick you from Nabilatuku, but you have been intermittent
All right.
in terms of...
And I hope our engineering department has indeed picked that. And thank you very much, dear listeners, for always listening in and contributing to this discussion. I've been your host, Kenneth Lukwagandason. Up next, we have the news in English with Miss Josephine Dagano. Thereafter, we'll have the Soul Train with BB Jr.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. Brought to you